So basically, I had a lot of different ideas for what I wanted this video to be, but ultimately it ended up just being a bit of a reading vlog. So come with me throughout a good chunk of the month of January, what I read and some of the things that I did. I've been slowly reading Lessons in Chemistry, and I realized that I never really talked about what it is or what it's about. It's about a woman named Elizabeth Zott, and she is a scientist. It's set in, I want to say, the 50s or 60s in America. It starts off with her dealing with some sexism that she is facing in the workplace and otherwise, where she kind of feels set up for failure in a lot of ways for the thing that she feels passionate about doing, which is science, kind of what her life looks like, challenges that she faces as a scientist, as a woman, as doing both at the same time, and kind of just takes you through a segment of her life. I am now 33% through. Some very drastic things have occurred. It was something very sad, and now I'm wondering where we're gonna go with this. We shall see. Lessons in Chemistry.
Oh!
You know how sometimes things happen and then you're like, perhaps I just wasn't reading the signs. It shouldn't have been, like, taking me off guard, but in fact it did. I'm making a time lapse of me reading.
I love it. Well, as Jocelyn always says, it's only embarrassing if you're embarrassed.
Wow, I never heard her say that, but
Oh,
that's freaking awesome.
That's not the most. Anyway.
Jinx!
Do I owe you a soda now?
Probably.
Perhaps.
No, literally, if you ask her what my favorite smell is, she will say boy.
Wow, that's hilarious.
She will. I know you're all thinking, Abby, that's the cutest mug you've ever seen. One embarrassing fact about me is that me and my besties and my family are, unfortunately Disney adults. I saw this TikTok one time that was like, Disney adult versus chic Disney adult. And then it was like, just basically this joke about how there's like the Disney adult you think of, and then the cool one that I am. So basically, I guess I'm here to say I'm a chic Disney adult, or at least I'm telling myself that so that it's less cringy. But regardless, isn't this so cute? I got it a few years ago in downtown Disney. It also says fun times inside. Come on. I do live in Utah, which is the land of dirty sodas and random yummy bevs. And I fear I am addicted to beverages. I love a Monster. I love an Alani. I love a Dr. Pepper. I love any type of drink. This is actually a protein drink. There's this company called Clean and Simple, I think. It's out of Utah, of course. And they basically just make flavored water, like pouch things. And this one is pink Starburst flavored. And it's very yummy. And it has protein. So it's a Sunday and trying to get some reading done. Yesterday I made a bit of a dent. I'm now 42% through. I am having a lot of mixed emotions. I was really, really, really loving it from the beginning when I started, which is kind of rare for me. I feel like it takes me a minute to get into most books that I'm reading. Even just from the start, I was very interested in this one. As I said, something very sad happened, and that's kind of changed the trajectory of the book, obviously, because it was something huge that happened that was very sad for the main character. And so now we're kind of dealing with that. There's some other big life events that have happened that have directly influenced her in some major ways as well. I'm still liking it a lot, but now I'm more confused and wondering where we're gonna go from here.
Something that I find to be really unique and so cute about this book is that the way that the author describes the feelings and behaviors of the characters is very different from other writing styles that I have read. She does it in a way that makes you feel very sentimental about life just by depicting these very small moments or small interactions or feelings that are very specific to just being a person in everyday life, situations or behaviors that you find yourself in just on a daily basis that I feel like most of the time authors wouldn't think to write, but she does, and it's just really, really fun. One of the things that's really getting me good is Elizabeth has a dog that she and her partner named 6:30 because they found him as a stray and the exact time when they found him was 6:30, which is hilarious. It's in third person, and so sometimes it switches between characters, although it's primarily in Elizabeth's mind frame. Occasionally it will go into the mind of 6:30, and the dog will just be kind of explaining his own thought process as a human would, and it's just really tender. I just love it, and it's really unique.
It's a few days later. Last night I just finished lessons in chemistry. I have a lot of thoughts. The first 30-ish% of the book, I was very invested. Somewhere along the way, things kind of shifted for me. I still was interested, but for some reason, I was struggling to feel connected to the characters and be emotionally rooting for them and involved. And so while I still liked the story and was interested to see where it was going to go, it was a bit harder to get through, unfortunately. For that reason, I am going to rate it 3.75 stars. I really, really like the writing style. I really, really like some of the concepts and the ways that the author introduced different topics and themes. I think the overall message of the book was so, so cute. But sadly, I didn't feel so connected to the characters in a way that really made me want to keep reading and made me feel very connected and attached to what was going on and where it was going to continue to go. I actually started another book last night, but then I realized that Jeanette McCurdy's new book, Half His Age, came out sometime recently. In my head, it was coming out in March. I don't know why I thought that, but then I just saw something that said it's out now, and that really got me good. I have been really excited for that book. I don't know why I didn't have the right release date, but all this to say, I want to go to Barnes today and pick up the physical copy and start that one. I'm very excited.
It's been acquired. It's a few days later, and I finished Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy. I actually finished it a few days ago, so I've had some time to kind of think on my thoughts and feelings on this one. Unfortunately, most of how I feel is leaning more negative. One thing that is a constant from her first book, which of course is an autobiography versus a fiction novel, so there's a lot of things that are going to be a lot of different just because of that. But I did really like the writing style. I think that Jeanette McCurdy has a real gift of making serious topics light without taking away from what's going on. She is just really funny, and you can totally see that carry through in her writing style. So I really like that. That was pretty similar to her first book. And her first book talks a lot about her experiences from childhood up until being a young adult. And one of the very large pieces of her experience that she shares in that book is dealing with dating and toxic relationships that she was in with older men. And so I knew that this book, as you can probably conclude from even just the title, does deal a lot with that, and also kind of drawing parallels from her own experiences into a fiction novel, which I really liked the idea of that. This isn't something that I have literally any experience with, but one of the reasons that I just really love reading so much is because I do really appreciate the capability that novels have of taking you into the mind of someone else and into the reference point of someone else, so that you can come to sympathize with situations and people that you wouldn't be able to get into the mind of otherwise. So I was really excited to see what she had to say. Unfortunately, it fell extremely flat for me. The book is very, very sexual and very graphic. And obviously, with a topic like this for a book, there's going to inevitably be some graphic depictions of some kind, because that is pretty important to the nature of the topic of the book. However, there was so much of it. So where I do feel like this concept for a novel has a lot of potential, and I really liked the idea of it, unfortunately, the execution was really not there for me. Honestly, if it wasn't a Jeanette McCurdy book, I probably would have DNF'd it, and maybe I still should have, but I didn't. All this to say, I did give it 1 star.